Does anybody know who that is? Her name is Scrump. This adorable little heartwarming character. Now, Scrump is from Lilo and Stitch, of course, one of my favorite movies. And this gentleman named Chris Sanders, a Disney animation artist, and he produced and he directed and he created Lilo and Stitch. And you know, he might be probably one of the coolest guys ever because he made one of the coolest movies, and it must have come from the heart because the movie is so heartwarming. And it's been out for years. It's been out for 10 years or whatever, at least, or more. But I watch it, you know, on a regular basis. Like once a month I'll just pop it in and check it out. And I was trying to think of a character for my 51st video. Woohoo! And Scrump is so obscure and odd, but yet so filled with so much heart. And she's sort of a ragtag little character that was made by Lilo, who's a ragtag little girl, you know, doesn't have a lot of money, doesn't have her own real, you know, Barbie dolls or whatever, so she makes her own doll. I don't know if she made it out of a sock or an old pair of underwear or a t-shirt or what. So and I have to say before I start, there's this wonderful young artist out in England. Her name is Sammy, and she's just become such a dear friend. She's been following my how-to step-by-step videos, you know, and it's no big production I'm doing here in my kitchen, but her artwork is just getting better and better. So Sammy, if you're out there, I am so proud of you. Just keep going, man. You're doing great. Oh, and she's such a nice girl. I mean, on a personal level, she's been so sweet to my kids, and you know, she's a teenager. She has friends and a social life. She doesn't need to spend time with my little ones, but yet she does. She makes greeting cards. She does scrapbooking, and for someone her age, her layout skills are just uncanny. How good they are. She's just fantastic. So Sammy, I want to shout this out to you. Sammy, see if you can draw Scrump with me. And if you haven't seen Lilo and Stitch, this is a direct order now. Watch Lilo and Stitch. It's just amazing. It's really, really cool. Now Sammy's mom Jane has also gotten involved with just being kind and supporting Sammy and being really sweet to my kids too. So I have a couple friends that I've made through YouTube, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. Alright, so Scrump. Now let me just tell you about the supplies that I'm using. This is a pad filled of tracing paper. Now you might say, well, tracing paper, well, he must be tracing. No, I don't trace anything. I never trace. But there's a quality to tracing paper. When you slide a colored pencil across the tracing paper, it's very smooth and very graceful, and it just sort of, you know, any paper with more tooth to it, like I have regular white paper, and then regular white paper which I could sketch on, and then there's sketch paper itself. It has a lot of tooth and it will just wear down your colored pencil very quickly. But when you use tracing paper, you'll see that the pencil just glides along smoothly. Also, tracing paper is wonderful to use markers on. The trick is, because you can see through it, basically, you color the back of your image so you don't mess with those beautiful lines on the front. But when you hold it up, you can see the color right through. So it almost looks like a stained glass window. It's a really neat effect. You use less ink, your markers will fly out nice and smooth. The pencil glides smooth. Tracing paper has a lot of good qualities. But if you need proof that I don't trace my work, I sketch it. Here's my pad, and look, page after page after page. It's just blank, guys. I wouldn't do that. I'm not a fraud. It took years and years of training, years and years of school, years and years of practice to be able to do this. Tracing paper has some great qualities to it. Also, tracing paper, when you get into animation, you'll see how very valuable it is. If you wanted Scrump to lift this arm, just that arm, lift that arm, and maybe wink. Let's say she's going to wink and lift that arm. Well, instead of redrawing everything over and over and over, when you lay, which they call in animation a cell, when you lay the next sheet over it, your lines are already there, so yes, you could redraw or retrace your steps originally, but when you want to move something, it's good to see where the original was and then move it just, you know, a fraction. And 24 frames per second, sometimes 32, 36, it depends on the speed that you want to have your animation. You can make little adjustments, and then you'd see it in a flip book. Actually, a flip book's a great, you know, a lot of artists will draw and then they'll lift and then they'll draw and they'll lift and they'll draw to see. But if you're just starting out, use the qualities that tracing paper has and its texture and its transparency to help you if you want to start moving your characters step by step. Don't redraw the whole thing and get frustrated with it. Get to the animation, bring it to life. Move just the elements that you want to move. Okay, I spent 5 minutes talking about it, but let's see if we can draw Scrump rather quickly. So, we have a piece of paper. I'm going to hold it in the portrait, up and down, okay? And in the center of the page, we're going to start with, what shape do you think we're going to start with? Yes, that's right. A circle. So I'm going to make a nice circle about the size of a grapefruit, which here in America is a little bigger than an orange, usually. So I'm going to use purple for my guidelines. Now, we're going to turn Scrump 3/4. And when I say that a lot. All I mean is, instead of it straight up and down, like facing you like this, I've turned Scrump's head. So I've turned it, and this line is now 3/4 of the way across my circle, or my orb, or my sphere. So that's what I mean by 3/4. And then, judging by my original sketch here, let's see, I guess halfway across, we're just going to swing a light little guideline for placement of our eyes. See, any elements on the face, be it eyes, or a mouth, or ears even, eyebrows, it's okay to draw a little guideline to see where they're going to go. That way you can keep them next to each other, or along the same plane, sort of, so that they line up. It's a great little technique, and it's a guide. People do it many different ways. This is the way I do it, and it's easiest to teach. Okay, so our guidelines are in. I'm going to switch colors to a darker blue now. Now, Lilo doesn't have a lot of money, but she's got a lot of creativity, so she sort of made Scrump out of household scraps, and it's just adorable. Her eyes are made of buttons. So what we're going to do is, that's not a complete circle there now. Her head is turned, so it's more oval than circle. Just think about that for a minute. And then this button has like it has, I want to call them like laces, or some sewing term. I don't know much about sewing, but the button is held on. There would be one lace or stitch, say, diagonally. Make sure you do it diagonally, because it creates an X when you do the other side of it. Now this layer or stitch or whatever would be behind it, so it creates that X. That's the one eye. Now I'm going to go ahead and sort of form that shape a little, darken it a little bit so it stands out. So that's there. Okay, now that's that one shape. Pretty simple, basically. Then we're going to move all the way across the circle, our original circle, and we're going to put a full button, like you'll see the whole thing. So this will be more round, more circular than oval, like that. So now she has like two eyes working. See how this is more of a circle than that is, because her head is turned, so you wouldn't see the whole circle. Okay, I think you understand that. I won't go back and forth over that. But this button is held on like normal buttons with like the 4 little holes in it. I don't know much about sewing or buttons, but I know that. See? Already it's kind of funny. Now, the original circle is what we started with, but the shape of her head is like squashed and like squat. More like a pumpkin, really, I would have to say, if I was pinned down to a shape. So I'm going to extend my circle towards the edges, really, and shorten it a little bit by just starting to, see what I've done? I've extended from under the eye. I'm outside my circle, and I'm starting to make it squat. Notice this line, the circle actually descends lower than this line here. From there, I'm going to make like a little wrinkle in the fabric. Just a bent line, guys. Nothing crazy. So I brought this line down to this line. Now I'm kind of in the center of my drawing. And then I'm going to do one more here. And I'm just lightly sketching it. You should see how beautifully the pencil slides across this tracing paper. Plus it's cheap. Tracing paper is very inexpensive. Sketch paper is really expensive. So see how she's lumpy and squat? Almost like the bottom of a pumpkin. And then this side is going to come all the way around. Now I'm not going to go all the way to the top of the circle. Be very mindful of that, because she has a bow on her head, and we don't want to. If we don't have to put a line through an area we're going to draw something on, then don't. You know, just stop. Give yourself enough room to make that adjustment. So now you're starting to see how that pumpkin shape looks a little bit more like what I was talking about. I love this little crooked smile that Scrump has. I'm going to come right across here very low. It's going to sort of go up, then down, and then into a smile. And it really is neat. I mean, you may think, oh, it's just a crooked line. No, there's a whole story behind that little line. This is Lilo's imagination, and it's just adorable. She wanted to make it happy, yet it's such a pathetic little creature. So that's, again, that's basically just an S curve. A curve that starts in one direction, ends up in another. Just like the letter S would go in two directions with its curves. But the thing is, Lilo's a little girl, so when you put the stitches across it, don't put them organized like neat, right next to each other like they were professionally done. Put them sporadic and crooked. You know, that's what's going on here. There's a little girl that made this. She's, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old. She doesn't know how to sew, for crying out loud. But she does the best she can to make her new best friend until Stitch comes along. So you see how they're sporadic, and there's no uniform to them, or uniformity, no real, perfection to it. Its imperfection is its beauty. Alright, from the first button that we drew, I'm going to continue and sort of stretch out the rest of her head that we can see. So that's her head, and this is basically the hardest part of the drawing. It's not even really that difficult. Right in the center of her head now, above that 3/4 vertical line that we drew, I'm just going to make a very light, and it's very important here, light shape of almost like it looks like a marshmallow. It's basically a square, like that, really light. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that shape. I'm going to change that shape, give it sort of an hourglass shape to it on the one side, like that. See, because it's the knot of a bow. Right near the top, I'm going to put a little scoop in, like that. So I put that little scoop in right there. See, this is the hourglass shape. Oh, I can't get my fingers right. This is the hourglass shape, and then there's the little scoop. Oh my goodness, we're up to like 12 minutes already. I'm going to have to hurry this up. From out of that bow, we're going to draw long. I'm just going to draw them all and just let you. I mean, I have a lot of faith in you guys. You don't need really detailed instructions on how to draw every single thing. If I draw a few things at once and then show you, you're more than capable of picking it up. Plus, you guys have the benefit of pausing the video. And I'm doing this live, so I have to hurry. So she has like this straw or grass that comes out of the top. So if you could just add that. Then we continue on with the bow. The bow shape, it just comes out with like a curve, like a fish hook or a J. We use that a lot. So it just came out of the top like that. I'm going to go underneath that with more of the bow, and when I get to my original marshmallow or square shape, I'm going to stop. So you can see how that is basically kind of like a heart laying on its side. I'm going to keep moving. There's a little scoop. This is kind of tricky on the inside. It shows the inside of her bow, the fold of it, and the wrinkle of the fabric. Again, it's just an S curve, but I went to the top and see this little scoop that comes down, around, and over. Try to get that in. It's kind of important. And that side of the bow is done. We'll work on the other side. The other side, again, a heart shape kind of laying down. Remember, nothing here should be even or uniform. It should be frumpy and dumpy looking. So I brought it down like that. See, it's drooping a little bit. That's one part. And then underneath we scoop under. We go right across the top of her head. So again, a very sad and pathetic heart shape right there, laying on the top of her head. Now again, the little scoop to show the definition inside the fold of the ribbon or the fabric, right here. And then again, more definition showing that the bow is like that. You see? Now her body's very simple. I'm up to 14 minutes. If you just draw a really, really light little U shape under her head, if you can see how I sketched in that U shape, we're just going to go ahead and throw a collar. For some reason she has a collar around her neck. I guess Lilo assumes that's like a choker necklace, so all you'd see of it is this little part coming out here. And then quickly we're just going to add her arms, which are like really heavy dewdrops or raindrops. Okay, so there would be one arm just hanging. See how it's just a loop attached to the body that we did very lightly. The other arm kind of falls over because gravity would be taken over, and she's slumped over. No posture whatsoever. She's a beanbag, basically. So that arm would be slouched over there. Then we add the 2 feet. One is just a big, now I am rushing here. One is just a big, long, stretched out letter C, my favorite letter of the alphabet, like that. See? Big, stretched out letter C for one leg. You can finish what you'd see of her belly here behind her arm, and then just another letter C for the other leg. And I am at 15 minutes and 6 seconds. I hope this video loads up. I'd hate to have to do this over again. It's long. But there was a lot of instruction in this video. Now I'm going to sign it and show it to you and hold it up for a few seconds. And there you have Scrump. See how the other leg just comes out? Very simple shape. Have fun with this one. It's a cool drawing and a cool design. Alright? Thank you, everyone. It's video number 51. Bye, Sammy. I can't wait to see your work. Thank you, everyone. Bye.